Hey guys, welcome to middle of the week group chat. We got a hot episode. We got a really interesting interview. Anand, you want to tell us who we got?
Yeah, we have Brett Berish, who is a very successful liquor entrepreneur for decades, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
And he started Ace of Spades, Douce, has a whole suite of brands that are extremely successful. And his approach to business is very different than what you'd probably read in books. And so it's always kind of interesting to see how there's different pathways to extreme success.
Love that. So just so everyone knows, Anand and Dee did the interview, and then I jumped in for the news after. So we're all here. And we got a good episode. After the interview, we have a lot of news to talk about. It's, we're in earnings time. So we have a lot of, good business news. We have, I would say, a really good sign of things to come being that we're finally starting to get some IPO news again.
Good times are back.
The good times are back. I mean, we haven't said the word IPO in a couple of years, and we used to talk about them. It felt like every other day. So the good times are back, and we got a lot of other news, and then we end with winners, losers content. So hot episode.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, group chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
All right, Cathy's. We're going to kick it off today with a special interview. You know how much we like to drink on this podcast. We might as well be a alcohol sponsored podcast, more so than all the stuff that we talk about. We got Brett Berish on, and it's interesting because I think what would be really great, he's launched a number of brands across different categories and spirits, but I really want to know what your take on, we want to get into your background, but like one of the most interesting things we are hearing when we're around like Gen Z folks is that they are drinking less, and that's specifically in like LA, because that's what we're around. Then when we look at I just read Diageo's earnings, we saw alcohol consumption as a country, and it's bigger than ever.
Through the roof.
Through the roof, right? What is going on in LA where it feels like younger people are not drinking, and then the rest of the country seems to have just ignored? Is LA just a bubble in your eyes?
Yeah, I'm the worst person to ask this question. Do you know why? I don't look at data. Data to me just puts fear in people, and it does two things. One, if something, for me, this is a me thing, so I can only tell you me. When something's really hot, I don't want to do it. Like I think I'm late. If something's hot, I'm late, and I don't want to go do it. And then if the data is telling you something's not hot, everyone's going to tell you don't go do it because it's not hot. So Generation Z, I don't even know what it means. Yeah. Like, I don't know what's going on in LA. I just think that when you got a great product, you can get consumers on board. So it's fundamentally how I think. Like, there's nothing easy. Everything's hard, and you just got to work your ass on it. I don't know what LA is doing different than Latvia, but I do know they're both drinking, for example, my brands, because they're great brands. Like, that's the bottom line. You can, like, people ask me, I'm deviating from the question, but I think it's a good one. Like, everyone always tells me my market's different. We're different. Like, we do it this way. At the end, and I've got brands in like 80, 90 countries. And to me, it's no difference. It's the same thing. People want luxury. People want high-end brands. People want great products. And if it's all those things, you can sell it. And it works everywhere in the world. Does not matter what country it is, what state it is, what region it is, it works. Does that
I think
answer
that's
the question in a good way?
Yeah, it does, because I think, to your point, too many people, like, we talk a lot about technology investing, and the problem with technology investors is they are totally trend driven and not thesis driven, and it's why most technology investors are not very successful.
Interesting.
They just follow whatever. Right now, everything is AI, right? if you weren't investing in AI 5 years ago, you missed out. You're overpaying for everything that's happening.
What you just said is how I live. Like, if something's hot, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. So I have a rum. I don't know if you guys have ever tried or seen, called Bamboo, which is, you can see me, which is...
Yeah, we see you.
This brand. So all my brands have the same thing that Bamboo has in common, is when I launch it, everyone tells me in my industry, don't do it. It's a mistake. It's not hot. It's not growing. Dark spirits isn't growing. Premium rum isn't a thing. Rum isn't growing. And now 5 years later, I've got the number one premium rum in the world. And out of 20, this is an amazing stat, out of the 20 biggest rums in the US, any price point, 19 or down, we're the only one up. So to me, that's the example for me of how I think about it. I like doing things that when someone says don't do it, that's a good sign.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think like too many people are sheep when it comes to everything in life. And that's why, like, when everyone says, go watch this TV show, I never watch it. Because I know it's going to suck. Because I don't agree with most people. I never watched Breaking Bad. I never watched Game of Thrones.
You're missing out. No, I disagree there. I think you have to.
Okay.
I completely
Game of Thrones is
disagree.
incredible.
I think I don't think those two things correlate.
Well, that's how I apply it. But it's interesting. So, like, you're talking about obviously going against the grain in most of your career. How did you get started in the alcohol industry, and then how did you get started with working with so many artists? As the catalyst, like what happened there? So
answering the first part, I think there's a couple types of people in the world. There's one who knows exactly what they want to do and they go do it. And I think they're the luckiest people in the whole world.
Yeah.
And then there's someone like me, and I think there's a lot of people like me out there who have lots and lots of ideas, would love to do something on their own, and then they never pick anything. They're always afraid that the idea that they want to do is the wrong one, and therefore, they made a mistake. So that was me until my 30s. And I finally made a decision one day, I'm going to focus on this industry and I want to launch a brand in it. And the reason I picked this industry is never worked in it. I was never involved in it. My dad was in it. And I grew up in this business, and I saw him and brands, and I think in some ways, it goes back to the same idea. I don't think it's sometimes good to be too close to an industry, because then you miss the opportunities. So I try to think of myself as I think I'm in a good situation because I know enough, but I don't want to know too much. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because that keeps it fresh. But the great thing for me was I found something I ended up loving. I never lost more ideas because I keep having more, but I just ended up loving this even more. So I don't want to do anything else. I like the lane I'm in. I want to keep doing it.
How'd you start?
It sucked. So it's a long story trying to make it short, but I think it's a healthy one, because I think there's a lot of people out there like me where I've got hugely successful brands. Ace of Spades, the most, if you know that brand, Champagne Armand Cognac, hugely successful. Douce Cognac, hugely successful. Bel Air, huge. Bamboo. But I don't want anybody to think that, geez, this guy's been really successful and it's easy. It freaking sucked. The first 6 years was horrifying. I made massive mistakes in a good way, because I learned. I had investors. Investors suck. They have no patience. I was at the point where we were running out of money, and I stopped paying my mortgage to put more money back in the business. And I had back then the marshals would come and lock up your house and put a sign on your door. I had the IRS, because I stopped paying my taxes, sweep my bank account, and I didn't know they could do that then, and they did. Took all my money, and I put my salary in my girlfriend's name, who's now my wife, in her name. But I went through hell. But the beauty was I found out I love what I'm doing, and I got to slow down. It's not going to happen overnight, and I got to take my time. And it's a long story short, but it sucked, but it's great. So I had both sides of it.
And what was the first brand you launched?
My first brand, I like to say, is my most successful brand. That brand doesn't exist, but it taught me everything that I live by to this day about building brands. So everything I did wrong early on is how I do it today. So I'm not in a rush. I don't overthink it. Sometimes not having a plan is a great plan. I don't trust anybody else but my team and myself to make it happen. I rely on myself and my team to make shit happen. I don't invest in advertising until a brand is really established. I don't want to get ahead of the brand. Just lots of things that I made mistakes on, but that's the beauty of learning a space. And I think that's where investors kind of lose sight, is they want it fast. I had to go through that. I had to go through those examples to get to where I am. But every brand since has been great.
And so was in terms of like monetary success, was Ace of Spades your first kind of win on the board?
Correct. Ace was the first. Well, it was the earliest brand. So it was it was the first brand to be a success. And what happened for me was, I didn't raise money. I bought out my investors. I owned it 100%. My brother, I made a choice. I wasn't going to raise money. I didn't want to do that. I gambled on the fact that it's going to be slower, but it's my money. I'm going to take my time. And then I had a big decision to make where I had all these other brands I wanted to launch, but I didn't have the money. So I had a hugely successful brand where all the money was going back in, and on paper I'm worth a lot, but I'm worth nothing because it's all in the business. So I made a decision to sell that brand, and it's the worst decision. It's the most difficult decision you could ever make, because it's like selling a child. But it was the best decision I made at the same time, because it gave me money to go from 20 people to now 200 people to now from one brand to 6 or 7 now. And to do everything I want. So it sucks. It's hard, but I just didn't have the money. So I have to, in order for me to get up the ladder, I went this way. If that makes sense.
And then when you sold Ace, you sold 100% of it?
Yeah. On that brand, I did.
Got it. And that was to what? Jay-Z and a group of investors at that time?
No, that was just to Jay.
Okay. Got it. And then he has recently resold it, right?
Exactly.
Got it. Okay, so everyone made money.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. It's a great brand. I wish I still owned it today, because it's part of me, and I wanted to do well. But I'm not the. I wasn't born into. I'd love to have hundreds of millions of dollars, and I could own all these brands myself. Like, that would have been amazing. I'd be a major, huge company in the liquor space, but it just wasn't in the cards.
So, what do you think the secret sauce is? Because you see, so many A-list stars have their own tequila brands, specifically tequila, I think, for the most part. I think Ryan Reynolds was gin.
Yeah.
But you have Kevin Hart, The Rock, Michael Jordan, LeBron, Kendall. Like, what is the differentiator? They're all super famous. They all have crazy, rabid fan bases. But I've seen some data that not all of them are performing great.
No, I'd say just the opposite. I bet you 99% of celebrity brands don't make it. And I can rattle off, 100 that haven't made it. I'm not a celebrity brand. Trust me, I love working with celebrities. I love working with influencers. I love working with anybody who can help a brand. I just don't think, I'm not in the celebrity business. I'm in the liquor business, and I think that's where it starts. And I think a lot of people just see dollar signs and see Ryan Reynolds made it, so I want to do it too. But their heart and soul isn't in it. They're not, they think that one tweet or one Instagram post is going to make the brand, but that's not how it works. It may work. Let me put it differently. It may work, but I assume nothing works. That's how I approach it. Everyone else assumes their shit is perfect and it doesn't stink. I assume mine's terrible and I got to do something about it, But
so do you lead with then product and making sure the product is of the highest quality?
100%. There's story behind everything. My rum has won every single award you could win. It's produced in Barbados, the original rum island. You don't need to filter the water because it's a natural aquifer. You don't have to filter it. It comes from different sugar canes, which give it a different feel. It's aged up to 15 years. It's got a taste that all we have to do is taste people, and they love it. Bel Air, it's in 100 countries. It's the taste. I'll put it up to any brand, Moet and Veuve, and it tastes better than all of them. And it's got a look and feel that's better. I've got over 1 million followers on Bel Air, and I have more followers on Bumbu than Bacardi and Captain Morgan. Think about that. Wow. That's amazing. And those are the two biggest rum brands with the most money to spend on advertising. I don't spend any money. So to me, it always gets back to, is it a great brand? Do people like it? Do they like the look and feel? The package matters. The story matters. The bottle matters. To me, I won't launch a brand unless it's better than everyone else's who I'm competing against. It's not based on, boy, I hope Ryan Reynolds picks it up. You know, they may pick it up, but if it doesn't taste good, they're not going to come back. It may be a great package, but if it doesn't taste good, you know, they may not come back. It may be a shitty package and they don't notice it. So you need to have everything. You need to.
Yeah. What's funny is I'm involved in a tequila brand called Lo Siento, and we launched it in Los Angeles. And objectively, I felt that it was the best reposado I had ever had. And I was like, if I think it's great, and like I am a tequila drinker and I really, really appreciate like artisanal tequila, I'm confident that other people resonate with it. And the CEO of the company, Ryan, was also very adamant, like, this is really fucking good. And it's hard because we think it's good, but like, you know, is it going to resonate? And it's now, you know, a year and a half in, you see when you're at a restaurant and people drink it objectively, like, oh my God, this is so good.
You need that.
And then to your point, it's like, I think marketing is very important in alcohol because it does it does affiliate you with a certain type of person. Like, you know, people that drink certain wine or certain rum or certain tequila are kind of associated with a personality almost. So I do agree that I do think marketing does play a big role in it. I think it's just like fundamentally you have to have a great product though.
100%. You have to. I could name some of the biggest music people in the world who has two brands that have done nothing, and he's got more followers than anybody else in the world. You need it. You got to live it and breathe it and work it every day. It's just like a child. You gotta.
Like for me, when I first the day Casamigos came out, I vividly remember hearing a story years earlier that George Clooney was a tequila guy, Randy Gerber were tequila guys, and they really enjoyed drinking tequila. So the day it came out, I called Cafe Habana in Malibu, and I was like, do you guys have Casamigos? And I drove out there to drink it because I was just curious, how does it taste? And at that time, it was a good tasting tequila, and I was like, well, great, this works, I like it, started drinking it. Similarly, like I'm a huge Rock fan. I love The Rock. I love everything he does. And I assume this guy has tried every tequila on earth, and if he was going to put out a tequila brand, it would be amazing. And I was shocked at the taste of this tequila.
Yeah, I think it's a money grab. I don't think there are heart and souls in it. I think it's, again, you got to live and breathe it. Again, I look at it differently. To me, I'm building a brand, and it's going to take a long time, and I'm willing to do that. There's no rush.
I have a question, because in the restaurant industry, this is very common. You know, a restaurant chain gets successful, then gets bought by a private equity firm. They cheapen the ingredients, and the food sucks. Like P.F. Chang's 20 years ago was a great restaurant. P.F. Chang's today sucks. It's private equity owned. They just tried to extract more profit. Does that happen in the liquor business when you have this upstart brand then gets bought by Diageo or whoever the big player is? Do they basically
They add
just
a
try
little
to
water.
extract margin.
That's a good question. I'd have to think about if that's happened in this space. I mean,
Casamigos Reposado objectively tastes different today than it did 10 years ago.
yeah, it could. It could. I couldn't say that for sure. I think it's more, I can't say, I mean, I'd hope that's not the case, honestly, from just a purist perspective. I think what does happen though, is brands lose their soul. Brands lose that heart. Brands lose eventually that what made them special, and I think that's hard to keep when a big brand gets big and gets bought by somebody else. I think it happens. I remember, when we're still part owners of Doucet, and I would get pissed off if they changed a little bit of something on the package, Mrs. Bacardi, because you want it perfect, you want it special, you want it. But at that point, I don't have say in it. I'm just an owner, So I think that happens. There's no question that happens. But it loses. I think brands, I think that's why I'm not ready to sell. I want to be able to feel it and feel the experience and not let go and watch them continue to grow.
So is your plan then, you're building a portfolio of brands. Are you trying to build the next Diageo, or do you feel like you'll end up individually selling off these brands?
The way it's funny, if you ask me the question to my brother and I 20 years ago when we started versus today, it's still the same answer. If we come up with a great brand that's better than something else in a category, I want to try to launch it. So I don't think about the end game, because that was my mistake. That was my biggest issue. So I always see, people present me their business plan, and the business plan says if I can get 2% of the tequila category, and you put a multiple on that based on the exit, and we exit in 5 years, like they're thinking about the end before the beginning. And I think that was me. There's no question that was me. And I had to stop doing that. So I don't think about that. It's going to come it's going to come when it comes. But I don't, that's not in the cards. It's not the way I'm built. And fortunately for me, that's the right thing for me to think about.
If you were to start something brand new today, where do you think there's like white space opportunity? It doesn't even have to be alcohol. It could be anything CPG related. If you had like mind space and time, what would you do? I probably want to, personally, I love consumer products. I love health-based consumer products and food. I think that area, I'm just a big fan of. If I had the space and the time and the effort, I'm a huge fan of that. Because I think, food, health, go together. And I think there's lots of opportunities there because I want that. That's what I want. So that's how I think about it. How often do you drink?
Every day.
Every day. and what about from a health perspective? How do you, because, I'm a frequent drinker myself. How do you balance that? For whatever reason, I'm a mood drinker. So I'm not a food drinker. And the difference is I don't drink based on the food I'm eating, Got it. I drink based on the mood I'm in. What does it feel? What do I feel like? What do I want to try? What do I want to have? And then I'm always switching it up based on my brands to remember what something tastes like, or for example, new categories we're going to enter. So we just launched a Scotch brand called the Deacon, which I think is the best Scotch in the world. I think the taste is just phenomenal. Wow. I think it's better than anything else out there. So now I'm constantly tasting, even though I probably tasted everything in the Scotch category, I'm retasting everything again because I like reassuring myself, God, mine's better. I know it's better. I know it tastes better because I need that confidence to look at everybody in the eye when I go and sell and speak and talk to our trade and consumers that this is a great product. Very cool. Where can people to really try all your brands. And what are all the brands? It's Bel Air.
So Bel Air is it's our oldest now. Bel Air is now 5 cuvées, amazing. 2 rosés and 2 whites. One is sweet and one's dry on each. And then we've got Bel Air Blue, which was meant to be a limited edition, but we ended up keeping it because everyone loved it so much.
Wait, is cuvée a brand? Sorry. You said cuvée? Or
Well, a cuvée is a style.
Okay, got it.
A style. So you could have a brut, which is your traditional, let's call it gold looking champagne. We have that, which we call Bel Air Gold. And then we've got Bel Air Rosé, which is a dry rosé. And then we've got a sweeter version of both of those, which is called Luxe and Luxe Rosé. And so there are 4 different cuvées, different grapes, different sugar content, different acidities. Meant for different types of consumers based on what they like. Some people like sweet, some people like dry. And then we launched a 5th one called Bel Air Blue, which is literally, it's blue. It's amazing. So we have 5 cuvées in the US. It's everywhere. You can find it anywhere today because it's a big brand. And that brand is probably in 80 countries now.
Wow.
And then Bumbu is our 2nd oldest, which is our rum, which is the #1 premium rum in the world. Amazing brand. There's 3, I'll use the same word, cuvées or styles. There's Bumbu Original, and then there's, which is very mouthy. It's got a lot of flavors. There's Bumbu XO, which is like a big fat cigar or dark chocolate. And then there's Bumbu Cream, which is a cream-based product. And then we just launched the Deacon, which is a scotch, which is, if you like heavier, smoky bonfire peat, not overly peated, this is it. This is just, you can drink it straight. You can do penicillin. You can mix it with Coke. It's fantastic. And then we've got a Gin McQueen, which is from Brazil. And then we've got a French liqueur called Vion. So those are our 5 brands today.
Wow. So the few people I know in the liquor industry that are starting brands, they have to grind venues like morning till night to get in the door. Like they start at 8, 9 in the morning and it's midnight and you have to go to each. Do you have to do that anymore? I know you're very successful with all these products, or do you have a team that does that when you launch a new brand?
Both. So my favorite thing in the world is selling. So I love visiting accounts. I love being in the accounts. And I think that's important. That's the difference between, call it, a celebrity brand and a brand. You got to go do the dirty work. You got to get out there. You got to see, and you're going to learn how people are drinking, how they're consuming, what happens. And I think that gets back to this idea, of sometimes not having a plan is a good plan. Not every brand is different. You're going to, in Canada, and I joke because it's a great example. Canada's our #1 Bumbu market in the world for this. #1.
Wow.
We sell, when we're in 70 countries with Bumbu. It's the #1 market in the world outside the United States. I just visited Canada for the first time last week. No one's been to the country in 4 years. So the beauty of that is, I let it go. There was people wanted it. I let it go, and it happened. And that to me is brand building. Sometimes, as I said, not having a plan is a good plan. You got to just let things go and let it breathe, and you figure it out. You see what works. Bel Air in the United States is a huge retail brand. In Korea, we're 99% nightclubs, but we're the #1 brand in both markets. So to me, it's all about, you can't, you got to let things go. It's like I interview I got this interview series I do with lots of musicians who I've interviewed, and I always ask the same question because I'm really curious. You ever ask a music artist what their best commercial song, their biggest hit, did they think it was going to be successful? And 99% of the time they say no. They hated it. They didn't want to put it out. They didn't want to release it. And what they learned from that is don't overthink it. Just let it go and see what happens. And I think that's really important in business because a lot of times you've got a plan that you're stuck with for 2 years. If you're wrong day one, boy, you just wasted 2 years. So it's good to pivot constantly based on success.
Amazing. It's amazing advice, and I think really helpful for our audience. This has been fantastic. thank you so much for imparting all this knowledge. And I think it's just like your passion for like great product is such a topic that like people forget when they're building businesses because they just get caught in the hustle of like, I don't know, whatever, following the trends and not realizing all that matters is just making an incredible product.
I thought the most insightful thing, obviously you said many insightful things, but one of the most insightful things you said was, because I'm an investor, so I see a lot of decks. When people do that, like, if I can just get 5% of the market, and like, this is the wrong way to think about any business. Either build a good product or you're not going to be successful.
And like I said, though, that was me. That was me. And I remember, just as a side note, it's just an example. I was at a Citibank conference for disruptive brands. And before I went up as a panelist, I was on this panel. They were going to ask me questions. I'd never heard of the company, but there was a company called Casper. I'm sure you guys know, the bed company.
We invested.
We were an
in
investor.
Okay. So this is a few years ago, and the guy gets up there, and the interviewer from Citibank is basically describing the company, and it's probably a year in, and it was just amazing. They were in 7 continents, doing like $1 billion in sales, huge success globally. All these people, it was just amazing. And then I go up there, and I remember saying to everybody in the audience, if you want to hear, and they had raised tons and tons of money.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I remember going up, telling everybody, listen, if you want to hear that story, walk out of the room now, because that's not my story.
Yeah.
And I think you can get there both ways, but there's just different ways to get there. I don't know how to raise money. I don't know how to do that. I can't do that. It's a different way, but it worked for me. So I'm happy. You know what I mean?
That's all that matters.
How do people find you if they want to? Are you on social? Or?
Yeah. Well, the brands, Official Bel Air, Original Bamboo, Deacon Whiskey, Vion France, McQueen, Violet Fog, or me, I'm Brett Berish, CEO. If anybody questions, comments, try my brands. They're the best. They're the best. They're the best. And I love what I do. And as long as you love what you do, you're going to be happy.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Brett, man. That was awesome.
And congratulations.
Thank you guys. Let me know.
Send us some alcohol.
We didn't send you any? We'll send you some. I know a guy.
Yeah, I'll send you my address so we can get this place loaded up. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
All right. Great interview. And now it's news time.
It is.
I got to say, really good reviews on the last episode.
Unbelievable.
People loved it.
It was
I just
high
got to
energy.
say, the brothers fighting, me trying to keep it together. We got something here. You got something, kid. You're going to be huge.
You're going to be huge.
The in-person Conspiracy Corner, very popular.
Oh, yeah. Big. Actually, we should start off with the conspiracy theory.
Yep.
That I don't know if Shanil, who works with us, it's his theory or he heard it from TikTok or whatever, but the number 1, number 2, number 3 song on Billboard right now are all country songs. So that was going to be my winner. Don't Try This in My Small Town. Last Night, Morgan Wallen, and Fast Car, Luke Combs. Okay.
Yep.
Those are top 3 songs in America.
I just want to, because we talked about the backlash on Jason Aldean. There was backlash also on Luke Combs. I just want to throw that out there. I didn't know if you knew that.
Okay, so he's going to number 1 after number 3.
Yeah, that was because he culturally appropriated. He took a black woman song and re-sang it. And how dare he as a white man?
What? That's why he's getting canceled? I'm sure they approved it.
They had to.
You can't. Yes, it's Tracy Chapman. That's one of the most famous songs ever. 100% that has been approved by her. And
I'm just
her
letting
team.
you know, I think as business people, we are business people. We talk about marketing. A lot of our listeners are business people marketing. It seems like in 2023, the best marketing you can do is stir up the woke.
It's too easy. It's almost too easy. Like, we can probably make this podcast get 100 million downloads if we just
5 things we could say right now, and we would be the #1 podcast tomorrow.
We could go viral on TikTok.
It's
easy.
Watching comments, it is so easy to manipulate audiences. It's CIA must. I want to work for the CIA.
Oh, it's a cakewalk.
It is the easiest job in the world.
Like, we had to create the Eagles in the 60s. Now all we have to do is put out 3 TikToks. We had to kill
Being a
president.
modern day CIA agent is the easiest job. So the conspiracy is country music is basically being propagated by the U.S. government to promote American patriotism.
I believe it.
Yeah. I think, to be honest with you, that's almost too easy.
It's too easy.
After the book you read, do you think this is very plausible? Because I didn't read the book.
So the book that I read would take you one step farther. Essentially, what that book would lead you to think is that Dylan Mulvaney is a CIA asset and was purposely made to make the leftist movement crumble by being so ridiculous. That would be sort of the strategy of the book. So I think that actually just making America proud country music is like too easy.
So this might just be the FBI.
Yeah.
The CIA is like probably a little further advanced.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't think it's that hard, given how stupid. Like even just looking at our TikTok comments when a video goes viral.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get under the skin of people.
So here's actually the other question. Does the CIA have covert operatives within TikTok? TikTok is effectively dictating culture right now.
Yeah.
Do they have it?
Maybe I'm CIA.
Did they turn like a Chinese engineer at TikTok to be like, this is what we want?
Oh,
I don't think the Chinese engineers just pick a kid and just make them.
Yeah, I think they probably...
No, but you need the engineer to make the algo go up.
No, you don't. I could say 4 things right now, and we'll be the number. We'll get 20 million views.
Do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking do it.
If the CIA was backing me with money so that I had money for family and school...
You'll say anything.
I'll say
You're
anything.
up for sale.
I'm up for sale.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's more covert. I think it's like maybe some influencers that are trying to get popping. And then I think a lot of like spammy body, like probably a lot of the people in like the comments and the whatever talking about Bud Light and stuff like that are probably fake. Like if you look at a lot of accounts are fake that are, outrage accounts.
Because on the last podcast, you were saying, I hope we have people over there fucking shit up.
Yeah.
Because we know in the U.S. big tech companies, there's foreign agents in every single one of them. They've been caught.
Yeah.
Many have not been caught.
Yeah.
That are, getting.
But that's why I'm upset.
Don't worry.
Even
We
let
have
us
some
in
of our
there.
best. We have people in there too. Don't worry.
They're just not getting caught, I think.
This is why I feel like we're getting fucked, and why I said that on the last pod is because we have to do all of, like, they have spies working at Twitter, working at whatever. They don't even let us have apps there. So unless we're infiltrating fucking WeChat,
we
you
are.
have to
we
turn
are.
Chinese engineers.
Yeah, you are.
But the point is, think about it. They're turning employees of our big tech companies, and they have their own, the biggest social media platform is theirs. And I just want to know, and they got rats in weird labs in mysterious towns in California. What are we doing?
So here's the thing, not to go too tinfoil, but I think people like it.
There's no such thing.
So it's a known thing. Wealthy kids from international countries come to the top U.S. universities
To study.
to Harvard, Stanford, UCLA, Penn, you name it.
Kim Jong-un. I just learned that the other day.
Where do you study?
College in America. I forget. Maybe Penn.
Wow.
College in America.
So when these kids come in,
You could turn them.
can you turn the parents saying like, hey, because the parents are the rich people, right? And they're saying they're rich kids to these top universities. Is there a conversation being had if they know the parent is a very influential Chinese business person?
I'm sure it's happening. Why not?
Yeah, I think so.
Because that's the easiest way.
Yeah.
That's the easiest lead gen to how do you get the most important people in the world.
Yeah.
Go to the top universities, see the richest
Fly out
international
of
kids.
Harvard and just wait at the quad.
Yeah.
This is actually like a crazy story. Remember Bo Xilai, that story in China?
No.
He ran one of the provinces in China, and he got it's unclear, framed for murder for like a British business person, him and his wife. He's an adversary to President Xi. His son was attending Harvard University at the time. I had friends who were at Harvard at the exact same time. They said there were black SUVs parked outside this kid's dorm. And they were like, I don't know if it was security or were they trying to kidnap him, but we saw a bunch of Chinese people in SUVs parked on Harvard's campus outside this kid's dorm room.
Yeah. I mean, you're tailing your best and brightest.
Yeah.
And his parents have now they disappeared.
They're gone.
They're gone.
Oh, okay. I was looking at this the whole time. I'm sorry. I knew I was wrong. Kim Jong-un went to college in Switzerland, but the point was that he went to like a Western, he had a fake name. He was just a normal kid, named Kevin.
John.
Yeah, I mean, all the Bin Ladens went to Harvard, right?
Yeah.
Didn't they?
Yeah. I don't know if all of them, but they had a few.
Yeah. But I think you prefaced that statement by saying, I don't want to go too tinfoil hat. That's child's play, I think.
Yeah, it is. Dylan Mulvaney's actually a really good one. I like that one.
That would be the theory. Because also Dylan Mulvaney not commenting at all on the trans issues, people just kind of think she's annoying. Like she's her personality. So the wild tinfoil hat theory, now with my new education on it, would be she is a CIA plant to purposely take down the trans movement. Because now, if you think about it, what's the outcome they got? The Bud Light situation was a blow to the trans sort of like, every brand has a trans ambassador. So that would have been a well-executed plan if they're that savvy.
Very interesting. Okay.
I love it. I mean, I think if you guys just want to turn this into a full conspiracy podcast, I'm totally down.
I mean, we would have insane. I don't know we could never get a sponsor. Oh, CIA.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, trust me, we'd have sponsors.
Yeah, I mean,
just nobody would know about him.
Mike Morrell, who's an ex-head of the CIA, is a very popular podcast.
But you just go to all the the Rogan sponsors, Buffalo Trace Whiskey, and they're all about this shit.
Athletic Greens.
Athletic Greens doesn't give a fuck.
Rifle Coffee, Black
Rifle. Yeah, we're good. Okay, let's get into some business. Uber just became profitable?
Yeah.
For the first time ever. Well, did they just report earnings and they're profitable? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, so I have to give them credit because Dara was hired as CEO for this exact reason. Took probably longer than people wanted, but he's delivered. The company's trading at nearly $100 billion market cap, which is almost an all-time high. I think it IPO'd at like 85 billion, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then went down all the way down to like 30, 40 billion. But man, this company has really turned it around. And I have to imagine it's just raising prices. And if you've taken an Uber lately, you'll see how expensive they are. And they have $1 billion in free cash flow.
Their profit is kind of iffy because it's like a net gain on an equity investment of $360 million. That's basically like their actual profit, their net profit. So we have to make sure that this is repeatable.
Yeah, because let's also caveat, they have burned $31.5 billion in operating losses since
launching.
Publicly talking about their finances since 2014. So it's probably when they had public debt.
Yeah. So
because that's when you have to actually start reporting it.
Yeah. So if you're thinking about like
you lost $31.5 billion to make 300.
It's
so
wild.
That's the counter to what my entire monologue was.
And that's I think that's the bigger picture is that if you can tell a story and a narrative that investors want to get behind on, you have the luxury of losing money for $30 billion.
31.5. Don't lose the last 1.5.
Yeah. That's so much money.
99.9% of companies don't even get that 1.5.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was thinking about. Look at Zuck with the metaverse. I mean, It's
But at least
wild the
that's
amount of money.
his money.
But
He's
but he's
torching.
already so free cash flow. He's made way
That's
more
true.
money than the money he's made on the metaverse or burned on the metaverse.
Yeah, so I'm
he
okay.
could burn $100 billion. It wouldn't matter.
So I'm okay if Apple, Google, Microsoft, they take these big bets.
But
and
they're
lose it.
also losing while they're delivering profits.
Yeah.
That's difference.
Yeah, which is fine. So Uber Q2 quarter, to give you guys a sense of, so they did 9.2 billion in revenue, up 14%. Uber Mobility is at 4.9 billion. So that's their total, just, cars, their Uber X, Uber Black, scooters now, bikes, all that. That's 4.9 billion, up 38%. So Uber's like, people are using it probably pre-pandemic levels again. Uber Eats is up 14% to 3.1 billion. And then Uber Freight is down 30% to 1.3 billion.
So I also think this is also the lesson that this isn't repeatable in the current interest rate environment. So what they were able to do.
What you mean, Uber, the company, not the last quarter?
This story.
You're saying the amount of money they were able to raise and burn.
Right. In a zero interest rate environment, people were able to give them tens and tens of billions of dollars to build this company. And then once the interest rate environment got tight, they couldn't raise capital. So all they did was raise prices to the level of what we were paying for taxis, if not more.
Yeah.
15 years down the line, because that's what you have to do. So Uber's promise actually falls short. Because what did we like about Uber when they first started? You were like, oh my God, I can get from West Hollywood to Santa Monica for $12.
Yeah.
That's why we all used it.
It was 20, but now it's more.
Think about it. All it really is if the taxi companies would have innovated and had an app instead of, I remember like you had to call
if taxi
a number.
drivers,
no, they wouldn't have been able to do it because the taxi companies wouldn't be able to raise $40 billion.
But the app,
But that's kind of where we ended, right? Like, I feel like, I don't know. Do you guys know the data of how many people, like what percentage of Uber rides are Uber X? Probably
I would say the
majority, yeah.
Right. So that experience is arguably the same or worse than a taxi. And it's just if
a taxi driver just took showers, they would have beaten Uber.
But it was a race to capital, which is why they.
But it's just kind of funny to me that like, and I'm kind of hating on them, and I don't mean to really. They did a great job, but it's like it took $40 billion to be a taxi with an app.
That's the right way to think about it.
What they really solved was that a taxi, you used to be like standing outside at 2 a.m, calling an 800 number. It's being like, no, I'm on the corner of.
They solved for pressing the button.
Yeah.
And it took
watching it come.
Look, I would say they mastered a couple things. The supply and demand of drivers,
gig workers. So they solved that because taxi drivers are full time.
Yeah. And so I think they did figure out how to turn anyone into a driver. I just think, to Drama's point, if the taxi commission had half a brain, they could have won this battle, but they didn't.
Which, and like I said, I'm sounding like a hater. Props to Uber. They did a great job and they deserve it all. But it's just like, if you really, it's kind of the same thing we see like in streaming, right? Where it was like streaming is the future, and then it's starting to look more and more like cable. And like, it's just all of these things were like these wild promises and dreams and hopes of disruption. And the disruption was actually much more minor. It wasn't take a black car anywhere you want, everyone's personal chauffeur. Like that was the original sell, and it kind of ended up at like a shitty.
Now you're in the back of a Corolla
with a fucking baby up front.
Monica.
Yeah.
But I think the other point is, in this new environment, companies aren't going to get the leeway to burn this much cash.
So I think certain companies, if you are positioned right, like with AI, you're going to be given the fucking free reign. You'll still be able to raise money if you're doing something so unique and special. And then we know the moment they can cut interest rates, they're cutting them.
That's what
100%.
I think we're turning that party right back on the moment we can.
They're not going to. They want to. Jay Powell loves the money printer.
Think about the problem is we just saw what those 12 years were like.
was
like
hot.
we didn't forget it, and that switch is right there.
I mean, I want the switch to be turned on.
Of course, it just
It's
has to
coming
be
back.
like another year of pain. That's it.
It's not 10 years of slow growth. Fuck no. It's gonna next year, man.
No one's waiting.
They just
10
want
years.
inflation to come down so that
Yes.
another like 2 quarters
Yep.
I
Then
think
turn the
rates
party back on.
cut quicker than everyone's anticipating.
Definitely not this year. Zero.
No,
chance.
I don't think this year.
Yeah.
I mean, we're raising next month. We
Yeah.
already know that.
Yeah.
Plus, I think well, if in 3 years Uber's just a profitable, great company, great investment, it just proves like, yeah, fuck it, $30 billion was worth it. We'll do it
It
again.
was worth it. 100%.
I mean, yeah, you create $100 billion of equity value.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was worth
So-
it. 100% was worth it. 3x. It's great.
So now, you know what an impact Amazon had on the
The world.
perception.
I just
of
wonder when
burning
they get
money
priced.
before you grow.
They get priced appropriately, right? So they're $100 billion, 300, and what do you think their real profit is? Because you
Zero.
said
I don't think they made any money.
it's a
Let's
zero
say break
profit.
even.
Yeah.
So let's call it like $1 profit.
I don't think they lost any money, but I don't think they
100 billion.
made any money.
so. It's a $100 billion
$100
company on zero profits.
Yeah.
When does that rectify? Because it eventually will.
If it hasn't rectified yet, it's never. It doesn't. This
$100 billion. That means to be because the $1 trillion club
makes money.
makes real free cash flow, real profits.
Okay, so whatever. They'll stay at 100, 150 billion. You know how to make money at 100 billion. I saw Palantir, Trade Desk. These companies are worth 40 billion.
have you
each.
seen this company Yellow, the trucking company that's going bankrupt? The stock
Went
was
bankrupt.
up, but the stock was up like 500%.
Yeah. Great business.
Yeah. Who wants to make money? Why make money when you can borrow it?
That's funny.
Yeah, I think that this will probably be. My guess would be money printers back on, or cheap money's back on, parties back, and Uber is an example of why burning 30 billion before you really figure it out is totally a worthy.
Yeah, I don't think
strategy.
anyone will say the investments in Uber was a failure. Everyone will say it was a win.
No, yeah.
Oh, 100%. Everyone made money.
Exactly. So it's a win. Great job to the team.
So I can't say too much, but a very close childhood friend that I hadn't seen in probably 8-9 years, he works at Citadel. And he's
Hot.
way more senior than I actually knew. He's a genius. He's literally a mathematical genius. I think Citadel is 100x more impressive after talking to him.
Yeah.
And the legend of Ken Griffin should be like, it's way bigger than what we read about. I can't really
yeah.
share.
Yeah.
That. Happy to off air,
Yeah.
but man, that thing is a machine.
And think about it. Reddit thought they had him.
I remember you were against Ken Griffin, you little schmuck. I remember you were like, this is the day that finance, and you're just like, I'm like, they're gonna piss on these motherfuckers. The little guy doesn't
man.
win. You know that.
Yeah, and I
know.
think he
It really
took
looked
joy
like-
of. I think he took joy out of just crushing the little guy.
And not only did he crush them, he made himself 5x bigger. He's larger than life. He's untouchable now.
Yeah. He
He's
doesn't get
literally
enough credit for
untouchable.
that. I know it's not cool right now to celebrate that, but he fucking won that battle. I mean, there was a
And
moment.
got that Constitution.
Yeah, he did.
Remember when they thought the Constitution down? That was cute.
Yep. Oh my God, man. They were on him. And it really felt for a minute there like David might beat Goliath, but nope.
No, I don't know how it worked out in the Bible or whatever, but
Not
that shit
this
don't
way.
work out in real life.
I will
Goliath
say that-
shit all over David in real
But that's
life.
what's kind of interesting. We just talked about Uber, and these founders are glorified as like incredible builders, but Ken Griffin's outperforming everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just
He
not
like
as like
controls
sexy,
the financial system.
It's the thing is that the reason why a guy like Ken Griffin is looked as the way he looks is outside of creating monetary value, he creates no value for society.
Yeah,
nothing.
just as LPs.
Yeah, just it. That's it, right? Like
Yeah.
he's not actually doing. At least Uber, you get for all the faults, everything. We get to get drunk and get home safely.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty
Well,
valuable.
and it's the story that anyone in America can sit around in their dorm room and come up with the idea for Uber and become a billionaire. You can't really become Ken Griffin. I mean, you can, but like,
But Warren Buffett is glorified, and I have my gut tells me from what I've learned is Ken Griffin's going to be worth more than when it's all said and done.
Maybe. How much is Ken Griffin? $5 billion?
More, but I
it's just
poked
that
around and asked some people.
It's just because as of today, like over the last 2 decades, Warren Buffett is like the winner. Like there'll be another Warren Buffett in another decade, or 2 decades.
What's not appreciated is because Warren Buffett is the relatable story. Just buy things.
Coca-Cola.
Apple.
Yeah,
Coke, McDonald's.
Because his strategy is so basic.
Because the things Citadel do, I wouldn't be able to understand.
Nobody does. Yeah.
Yeah, that's also true. It's not very like attainable mentally for like the average American. Whereas
it's impossible.
Creating Uber seems possible, or becoming Warren Buffett seems possible. Yeah, becoming Ken Griffin would be fucking.
And my guess is if you Google Ken Griffin's net worth, it's probably 5x what it really is.
Probably.
Yeah,
because he's not going to disclose it.
Yeah.
Okay, but let me tell you one other thing that you can do if you're, a average American and you're just brainstorming the land of opportunity. This isn't an American company, but the point still stands. You could create the next SharkNinja.
Yeah.
So SharkNinja, the blenders, kind of home kitchen. I'm sure they do more than that, but they're most known for the Ninja blender. They did 3.7 billion in net sales in 2022, and they are now on the New York Stock Exchange.
And what's crazy is they did 400 million of EBITDA. They're a very profitable company. And what's funny is everyone's like, oh, if they went public, the IPO market's open. They made $400 million last year in profit. Mm-hmm. They're not like every other company. And I think the value of the business is just under $6 billion. So it's not even trading rich. It's trading like 14, 15 times.
Oh, we just talked about Uber.
Yeah, that's my point, is that like SharkNinja grinded it out and built to me, they're like a version of Dyson. Obviously, Dyson's the premium brand in the market. But like they've clearly built products that like resonate with the US consumer, makes money. It's a division of a Chinese conglomerate called JS Global Trading Co. And it's a phenomenal story and incredible exit, but it's still only worth like $6 billion, which is wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We really forget
and by
about
the way,
those
tons
type
of runway.
businesses.
Tons of runway. Like this thing could be worth 3x, 5x.
The widget business is a great business.
Yeah. It's still like where a lot of wealth is created, specifically in America. So many people have created incredible consumer products that have resonated with people.
It's also like we don't talk about, over the last 5 years, it was like, once again, so cool to talk about Uber or like these companies that raised, it was more about like how much money did you raise and like maybe top line revenue growth. But like, this is just a great business that I don't think burned $30 billion to.
But it also shows telling the story is accretive. The Uber story was so fun and cool. Like, oh, we're taking down the taxis globally. That's why it's a $100 billion company, not because the metrics reflect that.
But I also think the goal became think of an idea that you could raise a bunch of money for, not think of a good idea that has product market fit and is a healthy business. Like, I think almost like the goal became like, oh, man, I want to start a company that gets an investment from Andreessen Horowitz, or I want to start an investment that gets Founders Fund, or I want to, like, that became the goal. But I'm actually curious, like, where does the 400 million on 3.7 billion?
Yeah.
Just curious. Like, I mean, wonder where all that money goes.
The profit?
Salespeople? Like, where does 3.3 billion go in operating expenses? What's their margin?
Yeah, I mean,
I know we don't know, but I'm just curious. As you take a look at it, it's like, where does all, like, I feel like
salespeople,
must be salespeople,
R&D.
Yeah,
'Cause you would
cost
think
of
just-
revenue. Look, their COGS are not even good. Their cost of revenue is 2.3 billion on 3.7 billion of revenue. So they don't even have good
then
margins.
Yeah, that makes
They're
sense.
just operating extremely efficiently, and they're still making.
So you think in near term that Uber, when they started, were losing money on every ride? You think we get back to that where businesses are losing money on their revenue?
100%.
Okay.
We like
I think
that in
quicker
America.
quicker than we even realize. It's sort of like, you know how at the end of The Big Short, they essentially put a message on the screen that says like collateralized debt whatever are like they're available again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
they
know, like,
basically like they mock it at the end. Like everyone went to jail. Everyone, the banks got regulated, and now the 5 biggest banks are bigger than ever.
Yeah.
Yes, but it says if at the end it has a message that said essentially the same things that led to that crash, these collateralized debt things, are happening again. Like we're already back to it. Not only did we not learn, not only did no one go to jail, but we're already kind of doing it again. I just think.
Yeah, I think post 2008, we realized some banks were too big to fail. Now they're way too big to fail.
Yeah.
Like
So all
they
that I'm
can't
saying
fail.
is, I think sooner than later we're back to like, oh, we're doing this again, huh? All right, party's back. But no one who wants it to stop. Like no one's gonna. If interest rates are 2%, no one's complaining.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to see anyone.
Yeah, I think what we realize is everyone just goes back to the party and the same
And the
mistakes
next
we
Uber.
made. Some people will make money. Then there's going to be a crash, and then we repeat that cycle.
Yeah. And the next Uber comes out of that, I think.
Yeah,
How
I'd
about
imagine
this?
most AI companies are losing money on their product, of course.
Or just
OpenAI
lighting
is
it on
probably
fire.
bleeding. They probably
Yeah.
just have a incinerator where Sam Altman just walks in, just throws bricks of cash.
Yeah, he probably
Lights
spending
it.
$20-30 million on servers a day.
Yeah. Just
Easy.
lights it.
But that's that. We're picking Uber and OpenAI. Think about all the companies that are riding the trend of
Those two.
AI that are literally just
They're not
putting
doing
dynamite
shit.
onto
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
safes of money and blowing it up. Okay, next one. IPOs. I would say this is the earliest sign of the party, about to be back, right? Like people are starting to put on their nice outfits and their dancing shoes. The next IPO that could be coming as soon as September is Birkenstock.
Mhm.
So a little bit about Birkenstock. This is nuts. I love this. I love these type of businesses. 2022 revenue, 1.3 billion. Valuation is looking like 8 to 10 billion
Yep.
for the IPO. It's just
So
You
what's
just wouldn't
interesting is
think it.
when you look at the comments, everyone's like, "Oh, this is Allbirds. Oh, this is this."
ugh.
One caveat: on the 1.2 billion sales, 400 million of profit.
There you go. Now we're
That we
talking.
don't like profit.
That's not
We just
SharkNinja.
talked about it.
But this is Birkenstock is premium brand, not a luxury brand, but just above that.
Yeah.
And it has an probably insane brand awareness and recognition and distribution.
Yep.
It has stood the test of time.
Yep.
I would argue it's more popular than ever. I
Yeah.
mean, it's literally, I don't know anyone who doesn't have, in every household I know, someone is wearing Birkenstock.
Yep.
And you think about that brand and all the categories that can go to, because you're seeing it happen real time with brands like Aloe and Hoka and On. They're just going into every category. Obviously, this is not a sportswear brand, but Birkenstock probably has permission from the consumer to expand categories and really be a much, much larger business. So if it goes public at $8-10 billion, not surprising because it's not that rich of a valuation. And another win for Bernard Arnault because it's backed by L Catterton, which is
Yep.
the private equity arm of LVMH.
Do you want to talk about an overnight success? Do you
Yeah.
know when Birkenstock was started?
Oh, I just looked it up too. Guess.
Like 200 years ago, right?
1774.
1774.
Before America. That's true.
People
Isn't
are
America
comparing it to Allbirds.
1776?
Yes. And people are comparing it to Allbirds.
This is why, like, this is like technology people need to stay the fuck out of consumer.
Well,
if
they
you
all got
compare
burned.
anything to Allbirds, Allbirds is not a brand. I'm sorry, it's just not.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just to compare Birkenstock, it's just asinine.
Birkenstock is so iconic globally.
Seems cheap.
I mean,
It does seem cheap.
1774.
8 billion seems cheap.
That's heritage.
You can't replicate 1774.
And I have a feeling the first Birkenstock probably looked very similar to the current Birkenstock.
I mean, did Jesus wear something like this?
If you think about brand
that's who
awareness,
founded
like I guess maybe Gen Z doesn't know what Birkenstock is, but anyone our age, 100%
Oh,
coverage.
every Gen Z Birkenstock up the ass.
Yeah, they know what it is. They might not know the history of it, but it's so
They're wearing it.
incredibly on trend for Gen Z.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a monster business.
And it's impressive. L. Catterton and LVMH. It's a peak deal. 2021
they paid
investment.
$5 billion for it.
2x.
Yeah.
And it may pop.
Yeah. Great.
I mean, do
Good for
they
them.
own like the like it really? I'm looking at old Birkenstocks and like not much innovation.
No.
You know, it's just like, do they own? How do you even do that? Like, how do you own that?
But ain't broke,
1774, bro.
don't fix it.
Man,
Yeah.
Jesus, the first influencer. Paid brand deal. Okay. Well, that's some exciting stuff. And tomorrow's Apple's earnings, so can't wait for that. There's going to be some great
Huge.
stuff to talk about on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, love it. Next up, Nike, who is, notorious for this type of thing, right? They just do really cool. Like you can tell they really support, even though everyone, I don't know this because I'm not a big runner, but Dee, you tell me like somehow their running shoes suck, which is mind boggling. But they are really well known for like investing in sports and athletics and fitness. So the new thing that they're doing is a network of boutique fitness studios. And good news for us, the first one looks like it's going to be in LA later this year.
It's really cool. So they're doing basically a concept that's around live classes, really focused around running and endurance workouts. This just tells you they know they're losing the running battle. Like there's so much pressure from Hoka and On and Brooks and all of these brands.
Aloe.
Yeah, I mean, Aloe's still very new in the running shoe business. And
But fitness.
yeah, but like specifically core running shoes, right? Like Hoka to do $1 billion out of nowhere and On and the way they're growing, it's just like Nike's base is in running and they're not the running choice. When you go out running, you're not seeing people wear Nike. They're wearing either Hoka or On. Wherever I go, that's the only two brands I see. And so I think there's an incredible opportunity for them. There are just a few product iterations and some good marketing to get the market back. It's not like it's gone. It's
I feel
just
like
they have to
everyone
put
wants to wear it.
Yeah, I mean, if it was all the same, if Nike just made better product, people would probably prefer Nike over a lot of these brands. And so I think this is an interesting attempt to do it. I'm curious where it goes in LA. I think the location really fucking matters.
I also think
Like it cannot be in Culver City. No offense, but it cannot be there.
No, remember that old one they did right on Cahuenga? It has to be.
But that's a terrible location. It cannot be in Hollywood. It needs to be in fucking Venice, near the Venice Run Club, which has all the young, cool runners in LA.
Yeah, Venice would probably be best. Yeah.
I think the mistake, because this is obviously for marketing purposes, right? To get people more entrenched in the brand. It should be private. The way Aloe has their gym, where only influencers can go to work out.
Yeah, don't make it for regular people.
Like you can't.
It's
you
not.
shouldn't be able
Anyone
to.
can go.
Anyone can
It's
go.
a plus,
it's like
$99.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ew.
Oh, $99 per month.
It should be exclusive.
Yeah.
They should only have the
The elite.
that they invite, whether it's athletes, whether it's influencers, whether it's
Celebrities,
whoever.
Yeah, I like that.
That's what it should be.
Or at least
I think
launch it
that's-
that way and
Because
then
they're
roll it
not
out.
using this to like compete with Equinox. That's not your business.
No, yeah, I think there is
It's a marketing tool.
Yeah, I think they also think they could sell. They're trying to find a balance between IRL and mobile apps for workout and see if there's a business there, because that's part of what they're selling too. You're integrated with the class even if you're not here. I just think that like Nike has to take a step back from being overly inclusive and be a little exclusive. And so don't do Culver City, don't do Hollywood, don't go to Venice where the good looking runners of LA are, and target them. They have to want to wear your product. To me, like that's the audience that you want. I don't think you want like,
and $99, that's for gyms, that's affordable.
that's too cheap.
It's a big miss.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I won't know till I see it, but I just think
Because what's Equinox now? Like $225? $250.
And that's not, and I'm sure if it's the Century City location, it's like $350. Yeah.
It's funny to me that the real business is like in dressing like you work out, but the actual business of working out is not, it's pretty tough.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at like Aloe's marketing, they are portraying like what they believe is the best look. And those are all very good looking people. And it's working. It's resonating with people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like very fit.
Yeah. There is just this weird, I feel like everyone's trying to figure out, Aloe does like in their stores, they have yoga classes. Like everyone's trying to figure out how to actually touch the workout. But that just seems, I don't know. One day if Nike like owned an Equinox competitor, like is that a thing? Maybe.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I agree.
And you're not going to be able to provide a premium experience if you're charging $99. It should just be a loss leader.
Yeah, I mean, I think the move for Nike, I think it's an interesting one. They're so big, they probably have to test things. I think it's really make a better running shoe and then figure out, like Nike they have so many people they're competing with. They're competing with Hoka and On the running shoe, like where they're losing, right? Like running, I think they're losing. I think in active wear in general, like specifically women's active wear, the Aloes, the Lululemons have done such a great job of getting women to wear their brands over Nike. Like if I was Nike, that's where I would focus all my energy. Like, how do we get the Aloe customer and the Lulu customer to wear Nike? Because they are not wearing fucking Nike.
No.
Yeah.
That to me is the biggest opportunity.
Well, I can't wait to see this thing. I mean, we're going to learn a lot once we see what it is. But I do respect. They've always done good. Like I said, they had that one innovative. On Cahuenga. They've always done like real good, cool things. But we'll see.
But that Cahuenga was private.
Yeah,
and it was just cool events. That's why.
Yeah, you're right. What's Fit Lab again?
I don't know what that is.
Is that a pre-existing gym? Yeah, it is. That's who they're collaborating with. So it's like a takeover.
Yeah. Where's that at?
See.
Hopefully it's Venice.
Well, they are Fairfax.
And
that's Fit Hub, maybe. Culver City. And it just happens to be temporarily closed.
Yeah, so I mean,
maybe for a remodel.
Culver City's the wrong location for this. Just cannot be. You don't want to be associated with Culver City. No offense.
Yeah, I mean, you would think if it's
you want the T-shirt that says Venice, California. That's what you want.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see. All right. It is the middle of the week, which is when we send everyone off with our winners, losers, and content. Dee, who do you got for the winner of the week?
I have to say, last week's loser was Elon because he did such a sloppy job with the X. It doesn't matter. Everyone's on the app. The fucking thing's called X now. Yeah. I can't even find it on my phone, but I'm still logging in 50 times a day.
Yep.
He won. And then the city of San Francisco is fined him for his stupid sign.
They took it down.
Which made it more popular, gave him more free marketing.
What happened with the sign?
The way he put it, he just like stuck a sign up there.
Yeah, he didn't get a permit. He didn't have any of the permits, so they went and took it down.
Got it.
he's like, I think you said it last week, like he's proving that like basically building your business in real time and fucking up does not really have an impact on your business. Cause like nobody is not on Twitter. I can't even find this app on my phone half the day.
Yeah. I also want to say
somehow I end up on it.
It's something that we sort of debated, like when he bought it, is like, I think that also just proves like the value of the product. Like you can't fuck it up. You can change the name, you can change the logo, you can whatever, and everyone's still logging on to it. You can get attacked by Meta trying to make a copy. I mean, think about it. Anything that could have happened that would test the value of that product has happened, and everyone's still addicted.
And in true San Francisco fashion, he's not even paying rent in his office building.
That's hot.
Why would you?
Why would you? They don't care. You could steal, do whatever you want. Why would you pay rent?
Did you see the video of the woman shooting on the Bay Bridge?
Yeah. Did you see the one
at cars? She didn't kill anyone, but it's God. Wild. It was last week in the middle of the day.
The other day I was driving down Cahuenga, full speed, just cruising down Cahuenga. And I'm not kidding. A homeless dude jumped out as I'm flying down the road, jumps out from a car that's parked on the side of the road and does this.
He's doing the gun sign.
I'm doing I'm holding up my hands like I'm pointing a gun. And I literally ducked and swerved because it just looked like a person about to shoot into my car. And then as I drove by him, I saw he had nothing in his hands.
And this is on Cahuenga?
Yeah. What were you saying though, D?
I've been seeing a lot of videos of there was a video that went viral this morning of a guy robbing looked like a convenience store, and there's a guy commenting during the video, and it was two Indian guys. Basically, one manhandled the guy, and the other guy just got a stick and just beat his ass.
So the two Indian guys are fighting each other?
No, they got the guy that was stealing from them.
Oh, got it.
And I think people are at a point that if they have the ability to fight back, they will fight back. They just don't give a shit anymore. It's a bit crazy.
Yeah, I think we've touched on this. Fighting and violence is very accepted now.
Yeah.
In public society.
Yeah, it's scary.
Well, not only that, but did you guys see this new, I'll make this my loser. There's this new law that I guess went into effect in June in LA County. People arrested for nonviolent, low-level offenses in LA County will no longer be forced to post bail. So essentially, you won't be arrested. You'll just, because it's not fair, because wealthy people are able to pay bail and non-wealthy people aren't. And so they're not even arresting them and making them post bail.
So it's stealing?
Robbery. Let me see if there's a list, but
so if you smash a car window and steal someone's laptop and someone sees you, just give back the laptop and...
Well, they come, I think that they say, hey,
you don't have to give anything back. You just take the laptop. You're not going to get arrested.
They might put you in cuffs and put you in the back of a car, but they're not going to take you in and make you post bail.
That's not good.
You saw the guy of a attempted carjack in LA. The guy pulled out a gun and chased the guy off the street, and he's in with this gun. He's like, "You're not robbing anyone on this street," and he literally pulled out a gun and chased the guy away.
Yeah, that's.
It's just, man, it just feels so. You saw the video of people was that Culver City Mall? People were robbing the Gucci store?
Century City.
Or Century City, I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was Century City. I saw the video.
Century City. Bad mall to rob.
Tough mall to rob.
If you're going to rob, you got to rob standalone street stores.
And did those
kids got away?
Did those people get away?
I mean, you can't arrest them. They didn't do anything wrong.
So we had a store at Century City Mall over 10 years ago, or was it about 10 years ago?
A little over 10.
I remember if a store got robbed, it was
chaos.
They shut down the mall, and it's total lockdown.
Today, you just go to Javier's and just keep it moving.
I mean, this says they're talking about this law.
I was at Century City Mall yesterday.
That's when the robbery was.
Yeah,
it was yesterday.
Oh wow!
I think day before.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Someone criticizing it said it's 100% catch and release. That's basically going to be the policy of LA County for lower level felonies and most misdemeanors. You do a smash and grab, you're going to be released in time to do a second one on the same day.
I guess you're the winner. That's another winner of the week. Smash and grabbers.
Yeah.
I will say Beverly Hills has weirdly shut it down. You don't hear about it in Beverly Hills anymore. Remember, like it used to be weekly?
Yeah. Maybe they just put a lot more.
Yeah, everyone
police in the
claims
street.
Century City was Beverly Hills, but like the Post said Beverly Hills Gucci store robbed.
Yeah,
But.
that ain't Beverly Hills.
What are we on? Anand's winner?
Yep.
Taylor Swift. She is giving $55 million in bonuses to the crew that have been on the U.S. leg of the tour.
Wow.
The truck drivers, I think there's 50 trucks that go to each city,
Yeah.
and each truck driver is getting $100,000
Yeah. That's
bonus.
awesome.
The dad, Taylor Swift's dad, I think is the manager or was super involved.
Yeah.
He gave a speech to all the truck drivers. Taylor Swift wrote a handwritten note to each truck driver.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. That
She's-
marketing's worth way more than $55
she's the
million.
goat.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, no critiques here.
Big fan.
She's also just, I feel like in her zone, you know, like she just can't lose right now. It's
She's just
like,
executing flawlessly. Boom, boom.
like your
boom.
tour,
I've
what'd you
just-
make,
Here's
$1
$50
billion?
million for the
Here's
truckers.
50 million, blah, blah, yeah, here's a speech, here's a card, America. Great. Unstoppable.
I wonder if she can get bigger than she is right now. She feels so massive. Like, how do you get bigger?
Yeah, like what even is bigger? Like you sell out. You can't
No,
sell
I
out
think-
your tour any faster. You can't do any. I mean, you could do double the back-to-back nights. What, you have 3 nights in LA? You could do
It's
6.
just
I guess.
maintaining this. It's not being bigger. You got to maintain this now.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
the
that's
key.
true.
Like after this tour, her key strategy is to actually go away for a little.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
she does a good job of.
You got to go underexposed.
You never hear like Taylor sightings.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, I mean, in the tabloids, you see her. She's
Doesn't go to Delilah.
down Rhode Island or wherever she is.
Has she ever
I
stepped
walked
foot
by
in
her place
Delilah?
in
Do
New
we
York.
know?
What?
I have no
Has
idea.
she ever stepped foot in Delilah? Do we know?
I don't know.
Because the typical A-list star like Taylor, if they had 6 nights in LA, we would hear stories. Oh, they were here. They were there. I don't think we're going to hear shit this week.
Yeah, I mean, because she probably has a fat house here and she's having her party.
It's so well done. She's like the LeBron James of,
Yep.
meaning, obviously, and I would argue LeBron James is the Taylor Swift of basketball. But what I'm saying is like her managing her personal life. It's only all you hear is used like for content.
Yeah.
There's no messiness. There's no like, oh, she was out holding hands with blah, blah, blah. None of it.
Yeah. It's good.
Love it. Okay, my winner, I already said it earlier. My winner is this country music wave. You know, it's not even, I don't even like the songs. I just think the fact that the like ultra outraged people are getting the exact result that they don't want and refusing to learn, I just think is funny. And so props to the country crowd for, stoking the outrage and climbing the charts because of it.
Great.
Why not? It's fun to watch. Who's your loser, D?
Lizzo.
Oh, no. What Lizzo
Lizzo
do?
is getting sued by one of her dancers. I think a few of her dancers.
Oh, no.
For basically creating a hostile work environment.
What? I thought Lizzo was
Yeah,
perfect.
No,
Staying
she's
away
not.
from this one. This is a D drama topic.
I
guys
thought
go for
Lizzo...
This is the problem with putting people on a pedestal. They're not perfect.
Yep.
They're far from it. And
I thought we learned that.
If you read the account of the dancer of how she treated these people, even I think the creative director who's not involved in the lawsuit posted on Instagram, like, I'm so proud of whoever filed the lawsuit. It takes courage to stand up to blah, 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 blah. Like, she's
But I thought Lizzo
like,
was the courageous one.
what? For what part
I
of
thought
her is
she
courageous?
was the hero. I thought she was perfect.
This is, I mean, you're
Yeah.
laying it up for the right wing.
Yeah.
This is the biggest layup.
Yeah.
Like,
That's the problem. You're right. Like the problem is the left. Let let me actually not make it political on this one. I think that anytime somebody decides to take the route of like holier than thou, or like,
They get crushed.
just, down with everyone who's oppressing and who's this and who's that and who's whatever, like now you have to live by a standard
That's not
that is, okay, you've never oppressed anyone. You've never treated anyone shitty. You've never looked down on anyone. And you can't, you can't. It's so hard.
And I actually think for Lizzo, it really affects her image. It really, it actually is impactful. Whereas if it was 50 Cent is abusive to his staff, no one's going to give a shit.
Yeah, or to be honest, people kind of respect it. I think if you heard that, not Taylor, she would never do that. But
yeah.
You heard about
Taylor
some
did the
opposite. She just gave
opposite.
$55 million.
Exactly. But I feel like you could hear that about Ariana Grande or something, and her audience would be like, yeah, that's what it takes to be so good. It'd be well, it's okay. But when you stand on this the voice of right and wrong.
Yeah, the perfect example is Kobe Bryant. He was a known bad teammate.
And we love it.
He was a known, everyone loved it. It was
Give
glorified.
me more stories. Yeah. I want to know more stories about him smacking teammates and tell them to hurry. But he didn't claim to be.
I mean, his entire brand is the opposite of that. Yeah. I'm not gonna congratulate you.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah,
I think this is actually bad for her image.
Yeah,
it's not. It's not what you want a reputation for. Given her audience.
I like when this stuff happens because I like when we're able to make some progress towards hey, let's all just calm down a little bit. No one's perfect. Let's not act that way.
I agree. That's the thing is I don't think anyone should be judged off of an incident or, even a time period of when they were kind of bad to deal with. You got to give people time to know that they're wrong and hopefully they correct their mistakes.
Yeah. And we'll see what happened. I mean, this is now a lawsuit, so we'll see some proof.
Yeah, everything's
we'll see how bad it was.
Now.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
The counts that are already out are fucking insane. It's gonna be a hot lawsuit.
I am here for this one. Anand, who's your loser?
I'm going to go with another winner. Our friends at the H-Wood Group. It's Tuesday night. They have Dave Chappelle at Delilah.
Oh yeah.
And
did you go?
It was incredible. I went. Yeah, it was incredible as always. He has some interesting takes on we could say it, right? Even though phones are locked, the writer's strike and the actor's strike.
Oh.
Yep.
He's not pro them.
Yeah. There's a thing. Yeah, I don't understand it. And I know everyone's jumping to defend them first because once again, that feels like the right thing to do. But when Bob Iger spoke out and said that their demands were ridiculous and when he wouldn't normally take that risk. And
he basically said put me in the next Marvel movie. I'm available.
Imagine Black Panther starring Dave Chappelle.
But
I would do it if I was them.
It was getting late, so I left after he finished. And apparently Stevie Wonder went on and did a set.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Jesus.
Unreal.
I got to go to another one of those. Those are the coolest things ever.
Yeah.
Just being able to hear Dave Chappelle, hearing any comedian work out their stuff is interesting.
So awesome.
But hearing arguably the greatest comedian of our time, and some people would say ever, fishing around for ideas and what's going to hit is so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. My loser, I already said it, but I already forget what it was.
You said it. We got it.
Whatever. I said it. Okay. Content. Dee, any content recommendations?
I haven't done anything, watched anything, except that Beanie Baby movie.
Yeah. So I was just going to reiterate Beanie Baby movie. Incredible. I watched it. Finally, a good recommendation from Dee.
Thank you.
I mean, amazing movie. Even if you don't care about business, but everyone listening to this podcast should.
Yeah, it's perfect for this podcast.
It is group chat homework. And then I think you might have said this one too, Dee, but The Bear, you're the one who said that? Or no?
Yeah, I mean, I said I didn't like it.
Oh,
I think that's contrary to what everyone else says. So it makes sense.
So that's what I would that's what I expect from Dee's content takes.
I don't want to be in a hot, sweaty restaurant. It's too hot.
Yeah. Yeah. So The Bear, so Dee is wrong. The Bear is incredible, but Dee is very right on Beanie Bubble. Everyone go watch it. Apple TV. Anand?
This is your dream. Mark Andreessen and Ben Horowitz released a podcast, which I think is only on YouTube. Ben Horowitz tweeted like, "Oh, the Mark and Ben show," and they're talking about Oppenheimer. They're talking about communism, and they're talking about how they think a lot of the views today are reflective of what was going on in the 40s. And they list like 6 books that you're going to probably end up reading.
Sign me up.
Like how Einstein was a communist. I didn't know that.
Big commie.
He was a Stalin supporter. I'm only like 30 minutes in, but I found it on YouTube. I don't know if it's on any other platform. But it's insane, their command of history and how fucking smart these two guys are.
They just
it's
know
just
shit.
ridiculous.
They just know shit.
Yeah, my problem is I don't remember any of this shit. I don't know how people remember all this shit. I read all these fucking books.
Ginseng.
Boom, boom,
It's
boom.
ginseng, huh?
It's ginseng. That's all it is.
You could ask me about a book I
facts.
read last week, and I'm already a little foggy. These guys just
think about Andreessen on Rogan. How many different topics was he an expert on?
I know. How much of intelligence is just memory?
A lot.
I have good memory. I just don't
have
read.
Incredible memory.
Like even when you hear like good debaters, like even when you hear even Candace Owens' whole thing is just memory. She just remembers fucking weird statistics that you're like, yeah, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, it's just good memory. I'm fucking stupid.
All right.
He needs to wrap up.
I got to
go.
go.
He looks very, very...
Yeah.
All right,
you guys got to handle the rest.
We got to go. All right. Shout out to Jess from Max. We are huge fans of the pod since day one, and it's our 5-year anniversary this Friday, August 4th. Well, you guys are the number one podcast in the world. She is the number one person in the world. Aw. She is kind, works hard, and just got a big raise at her job, and I'm super proud of her. And I'm super proud of both of us for navigating the ups and downs of life together and choosing to stick together. Wow.
Very touching.
Shout out to Jess. Thank you, Max. That was very kind. Number one, thank you for sneaking in there in your shout out that we're the number one podcast in the world. That is true.
Yep.
And since you only speak in facts, I guess it must be true that she's the number one person in the world. So congratulations. There we have it. Okay, hell of an episode. Everyone have a great rest of your week. We'll see you on Sunday. We'll be back in the studio and we will have some hot new conspiracy theories for you.
Full Taylor Swift recap.
Oh, yeah. What day are you going?
Thursday night.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait. Okay. Full Taylor Swift recap. Everyone, have a good week. Bye-bye.